A request on
On IG.
Instagram.
How about, I thought you was okay. So then this is wrong. I'm sending you a request.
Yep. Always.
Oh,
I'm not internet savvy.
is that what happens in the world? We are live as you are saying what you are.
What's up, good people? What's happening? Give us 2 seconds so I can see it on the Instagram. I don't see you yet.
Because I'm not there yet.
Okay. No rush.
You sure? Okay. There we go. Now I gotta find you.
Well, yeah, what's up, good people out there on Facebook, YouTube land, trying to get it together. Episode number 7. Episode number 7, the God number. That's why I picked it as my football number back in my college days.
That was your uniform number?
Number 7. Yeah, it was little hidden knowledge and some things behind the number 7. So that's why I picked number 7.
Okay.
That's when I was a lot younger, trying to, I guess, find some consciousness and find myself. I still don't see you.
Yeah, because I don't see you yet that you are actually live.
Yeah, I'm on here. I see your all right, I'm going live then with it.
That's the reason why I can't find you. Don't mind us.
No, don't mind me.
Good day, Miss Tolbert. Thank you for joining.
Do you see me yet? I don't think I don't see you.
Oh, now Chocolate Crown just started a video. That's so awesome.
You want to join me? Want me to do it again?
Are you? Can you do it again, please? We're about to demonstrate some toxicity.
Nope. We're going to demonstrate how to work well together.
We are always. That's what a king and queen does. Whew, that was a lot of work.
We up. What's up, B? What's up, my brother?
Can you accept me, please, sir? You're not plugged in any longer.
Here we go. Here we go.
Now we good.
Episode number 7 of Chocolate Crown. Sorry for that little mishap. It's my fault. I'm a little slow. I'm a little slow when it comes to this technical stuff, but we'll get through it as always.
Absolutely. Kings and queens do that all the time.
Yeah, we all got to do that, man. That's just minor right there. So, but yeah, we want to thank you again. What's today? August the 16th, 2020. It's a very interesting year. Very interesting week. A lot of good things, a lot of crazy things, a lot of bad things. But we're going to go ahead and break it down and, navigate through it like always and try to peel back some of these layers and raise the crown like we promised the people. So without further ado, Miss Mary May Butterfly Love, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, no complaining at all. And as I say to other men, and they say back, they say nobody want to hear a man complain anyway. So,
is that what happened?
Yeah. So that's the little introduction of what we might get into today, man. Everybody, what's up, man? Seeing everybody's comments, man. Shout out to the people who checking in with us. Appreciate it. Episode 7 Mic
Hey,
check
Mama
1 2 1
Joe.
2. B, let me know if we sound good out there to you, my brother.
Hey, AB. Bracewell, thank you for joining. Queen Lean, Mama Joe, thank you. So, which episode of the show we starting with tonight as we talk about toxic relationships? Where is it that you plan on directing our conversation? Like, what sitcom have you enjoyed this week?
What sitcom?
Well, I don't know if it's a sitcom, it's a YouTube show. It's something that you
I
base
mean,
this your examples from.
uh, I mean that's. I think that for me, that's the way I learn best when I see examples. I don't know if it's the same for everybody out there, but that's one of the gifts we have as melanated beings is taking things we see and then relating it back um to life. They say butterfly love has a little echo, but y'all are good.
Okay.
um, but so no, again, I was watching and checking out Last Chance U because we spoke about it last week, and I wanted to just piggyback on what I was speaking on last week about some of the things that I observed, some of the things that resonated with me, and that I thought that people might want to hear and discuss and talk about. So, um, yeah, it was interesting because we're going to talk about toxic masculinity this week, um, which to me is it's a very interesting term because when you add toxic to anything, obviously you get something bad from it. But I was speaking to some brothers that I respect their opinion, their smarts, their intelligence, and we got into toxic masculinity. And one of the brothers said, "There's nothing toxic about masculinity until you add pride and ego into it." So,
Awesome.
what I was going to do is kind of just get into it because I don't believe masculinity at its heart is toxic. But when you add humanity, like we're talking about men, so when you add a lot of the things that come with humanity, like uh, like my friend said, shout out to Madi Williams, Mad QB. He said pride and ego, and when we add that to masculinity, obviously, obviously, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for anybody who's in that circle who has to deal with that. When we add pride and ego to masculinity. I also call it, I also want to say when we add societal ills and problems um, um, to masculinity, a lot of times we see it become toxic. Um, we see it shown in a toxic way. And then that behavior becomes repetitive. Um, so at its core, I don't believe, and I'm always say that masculinity is wrong because it's not. It's part of being a king. But when that king wants to add humanity's selfish ways into this, then we become toxic. I don't know how you feel about what I just said. I don't know if you agree or disagree or you want to chime in.
Well, first I want to, share that this conversation, as always, when we talk about chocolate crown, we're doing the queens and the king's point of view, so that we can have a balanced conversation around these different issues that we encounter on a day-to-day basis. Um, I think that we can easily say that toxic energy and toxic relationships is a kissing cousin to narcissistic behavior. And those qualities that make up those both individuals is like a imbalance, or you're trying to have control. You're always correct. If somebody says I have a banana in front of me and you see an apple, they're going to try to convince you that it's a banana.
Right.
And if they're trying to persuade your position or what it is your perception is around what you're talking about, then that's something that they need to be mindful of, because then that way the relationship is all about them versus it being a us and a we, and together as a team we're going to grow together.
Yeah, and I want to shout out to my other guy, Rayshard Crawford, because a few weeks ago, when he answered the question that I asked the guys in my little group, every word he used was about we. So
Mm,
there was nothing. There was nothing that said that I wanted to put all of my beliefs on whatever we're doing. I want to put all just my stamp on whatever we're doing. He also included his partner, his other half, his wife, in those decisions that he made. So, and when we want to get the whole circle, when we want to get a whole true balanced circle, you can't have that without both parties. You can't have that. That I mean, that's just the way it is in this world. If you want the full circle, you better get the king and the queen. I mean, you better elevate on that kind of thinking and thought, because if one side or the other is just dictating everything that's going on, this isn't going to work. Now you have the man who may be better at certain things, and as the man, what you do is you teach everyone around you to elevate to your level. That way, whatever you have in you, you're passing it on to everyone around you. Not
Mm.
saying, I'm going to harbor this information, I'm going to keep it. Nah, that's no. That's toxic. If you're going to
And
harbor
if you want
information,
to keep it one sided, like it's all about where you're going to get benefit in the relationship and not considering that relationship is partnership. So we have to discuss and agree and identify what is the overall goal and then what is the mutual sacrifice that we'll make together to ensure that whatever goal we're working towards is going to work. And if you're not able to have that conversation, yes, sometimes it might be a space of vulnerability or a space of discomfort, but then maybe that's the first conversation you have to have before you're able to even begin to peel back the layers for it not to have the outcome of being toxic.
right? So everybody knows that I watched The Last Chance U, and I told you guys about it a little bit on Netflix. And so where we're at now in the episodes or in the show is, um, there's a young brother and he's very talented and he has a chance to do something with himself, get out of California, as he said, and he wanted to see more. He wanted to do more. And I spoke on his father, who is very bullheaded, very toxic in his masculinity, because, and the reason why I say that is because he's very selfish. He seems very jealous of his son. He seems to not listen to any ideas that his son has. Um, and it kind of making his son resentful and very pissed off because he has a father who doesn't listen. So, and on the same show, we have a Polynesian family
Mm.
who their father went through something completely opposite than the black family. He was on drugs, he was in the streets, but there's one big difference that this brother did that the black man didn't do, is he pulled his kids to the side and he apologized. He said, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because that's all the young brother wants his dad to do. For the humiliation, the embarrassment that the dad thought was, I'm toughening my son up, I'm
Mm-hmm.
making him a man. That kind of thinking becomes toxic. And now that young fella is so resentful of his dad that he wants to leave California, even though he can go to California schools for free because his dad works for the state. This is how much resentment and hurt and anger he has and doesn't know how to get it out. So his thing is, I'm not even going to go and be around them. And personally, I know that feeling 100%.
Mm. How so?
100%. Because um, I was a high school star, superstar, whatever you want to call it. I was well known for sports. And my pop wasn't there. And part of my decision of leaving Pittsburgh, which ultimately for football might not have been the best decision. I wear my Rutgers hat proudly, and I wish I had Shiano my whole 4 years, but it was more about leaving Pittsburgh to either see more or just show that I could do this without my father. And
Mm.
I held that for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
really it was me being toxic to my own self. And when I realized that, I faced it because I spoke to him and then I let it go. And I think the father, if he gets all the pride, the ego, and everything out of his way that's in the last chance you, and could come up with a way to say, listen, son, I'm sorry, I wasn't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You were my first son. I really didn't know how to do this. That son is going to look at his father a little bit differently. And it might hurt in the beginning, but eventually, if you keep showing, like I didn't have bad intentions. I didn't know how to lead you without being toxic. And
Mm-hmm.
we got a lot of times with fathers, especially old school fathers, you raised and they were, I mean, it was no nonsense, no BS. I don't care. You do as I say do. Um, we putting hands on you, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think for that young fella, I think his father has to do the complete opposite of what he's doing right now, because his son is, he's hurting and he doesn't know how to call out to his father. And like I said, years and years ago, I was like that. And
Mm-hmm.
and it took a while. It you always asking yourself why.
Mm.
And I was always being toxic to myself. So then I had to understand what I was doing to myself and say it wasn't my fault. But I've always tried to go with the mindset like I'm not afraid to say I'm sorry. I'm not afraid to say please. I'm not afraid to say thank you. I'm not jealous of anyone. I try to, if I have info, I try to give it out. Like we're talking about toxic masculinity, ISIS papers, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. Please get this Queen's book, please. And we talking about a lot of things that's going on with the male image. This Queen breaks it down like no other. So ISIS papers, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. But and I'm gonna wrap it up, and we'll go back to to deep dive more into this. But I like what the Polynesian father did, regardless of all of the things that went on in his past. He pulled his boys to the side and said, listen, son, this is what happened. I'm so sorry. I apologize. And I stand on it. And then we move from there and we work and we learn from it. So um, with the toxic masculinity thing, it's hurting a lot of us. It's killing a lot of us. We need true masculinity, true type A men masculinity that's not afraid to hold it on their sleeve, lead by that, know when we're wrong, know when to ask for help, know when to back up out of the way, know when to put people in the right positions. These are all the things we need to learn instead of being toxic and saying it's just our way, it's just my way. Damn it, do it like this. No, we can't. We can't do it like that.
And exactly as you grow. So, you mentioned your father and his influence or lack thereof in your college decision making and the things that you were moving forward. Parents don't get a rule book, or they don't get like a thing that kind of says, okay, this is the step by step of what it is that we want to do. However, they learn from their parents.
Yeah.
And if their toolkit from their parents has limitations to it, then they're going to continue to do that until someone says they're going to stop the cycle and they're going to do something different. And doing something different takes a lot of work and takes a lot of investment in regards to making that decision that you're not holding yourself still in your growth for holding somebody accountable for your movement based off of their inability or them just not knowing that they could have done something different that was going to help you. So then therefore you're holding into and onto toxic energy that's blocking probably growth and blessings and opportunity because you still holding on to something that happened with somebody who didn't have a toolkit to do anything different than what they did.
Yeah, and listen, when I give, uh, what's up, my brother Dub? What's up, Rico? Them is day ones from ranking. Whoa, I appreciate y'all
I
checking.
know the 412s always get shout outs
Yeah,
every week. So thank you guys always for joining, or ladies and gents. I know
yeah.
Mama Joan is always with us.
Um, but yeah, we have to, when it comes to cycles that we can break. If we don't want to repeat the same behaviors, and there's a lot of behaviors that I don't want to repeat. There's behaviors that I know I'm repeating, and I'm trying every day to overcome that and work through it and become the better version of Fletch, that the best version of Fletch that I can be. And
Mhm.
there's barriers, and nobody's complaining about that, and I'm just maneuvering because none of us are perfect. So even as my father wasn't there in my life, I didn't blame him.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know why. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a human being and I have reasoning, so I ask questions like why, how come, why me, that kind of thing. But when it all came down to it, and we sat and we talked face to face, I hold no ill will. That's why when I watched the show, I'm like, that young brother was me, and if that father just puts the pride and the ego to the side, they can build a bridge. They can break the cycle. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, and shout out to Rankin because we grew up and we had a group called Cycle Breakers and Leaders of Tomorrow. And we all knew that there were certain things that come with being poor, being black in America, in our inner cities in America. Everybody doesn't have the father or both parents there.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these, situations are synonymous or just all over this country.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see it in a young brother that's always in California, it resonates with me. And I'm like, man, I wish I could sit down with those two people and be like, listen, man, it's not about you as the father. It's
Right.
about making sure your child is the best version of him when he grow up.
Right. And the fact that he will evolve and move the family forward in ways that you may not have thought was possible, but it doesn't have to be the exact same routine or expectation that was built for you, because now generations have happened, especially the way we have technology now. You just mentioned that this situation happened in California and you're in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So it's like the situation, if they can happen across to the middle of the country, to the coast, east and west, imagine how many families we touch across that span. And that's just talking about the United States. We have families abroad as well.
Now, I will tell you this because one of my boys chimed in and he said we lived in a community that took care of us as a whole. And
Hmm.
as a grown man, I agree with what the brother said,
Hmm.
100%. But but there was some
Always
entrenched
something.
toxic masculinity that was put on us, of course,
Hmm.
because most of the brothers didn't know how to get a woman and keep a woman, and most of the women didn't know how to get a man and keep a man. We know how to get a woman to have sex. We know how to get a man to have sex.
Hmm.
And a lot of those times, where we find where we do that? We do that in bars. We do that around drinking. We
Hmm.
do that around getting high. You do that around where the worst stuff is happening and you're emulating people before you who showed you the most awful way to go about getting women or keeping a man.
Hmm.
Terrible. Terrible. So if there's one old head who we look up to in the hood because he got the car and he got money and we seen him with 4 chicks and it's like, oh, he get all the girls. What he do to get the girls? We want to do what he doing. And he out there saying, hey, yo.
And probably labeling women in a certain way that's not appropriate,
No,
or
we can't hold it. What's up, bitch? But the sad thing is, it wasn't no responding to that in the past like that was a good cat call.
hmm
Now it works. And I've seen it work. I've seen women in the past fight men for being called the B word.
and knowing
Not
that that wasn't how they identify, whereas now it seems like a status that if you are identified in that way, then okay, well they must really like me then. So they
and that's
calling me. I'm gonna be their day one. Like you mentioned, everybody being your day one, they're gonna be the day one.
and that's one of the things that I tell women about lowering your standards to men.
Hmm.
Like over time, it's put in your subconscious. In the early 90s, we got NWA, we got Snoop Dogg. Bees ain't this. Yeah,
Hmm.
and very descriptive about it. So that's put in the lexicon in the 90s. And then 2020, we got WAP, where we got two women openly saying what they saying. And then I get attacked on social media because I say we should be protecting the babies a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
because it's not like the 90s. It wasn't given to you every social
Or
media.
we had code words, like the song Juicy Fruit.
Right.
As a child, I'm thinking they talking about chewing the gum Juicy Fruit that I see in the grocery store line and stuff like that. As an adult, and I listen to the song, my ear is way different, and I'm like, oh, no wonder my mom said don't sing this song anymore. It was like a whole different perspective, but it was coded up. Now it's just straight blatant, which is the community now becoming toxic because they permit and allow this in their media and industry, or entertainment, or like, where does it start? And someone could say in their home, but in your living room, you got the car party going on, and that's blasting in the background.
Yo, listen, like we. So if we're gonna go that deep, I'm gonna go
I'm
even
just
deeper.
saying.
No, you right. I'm gonna go a little bit even deeper. Like, yeah, like they said in the 90s, it was coded. It was coded 80s, 70s, okay. But listen, when you got a system who is number one, not for you, number
Mm-hmm.
two, they run and control what we created. That's why we get what we get. We can't be mad. See, and shout out to Kamala Harris. I want to say it right on her vice presidency nomination. I'm not. We not here to bash. We not here to do anything. If I agree or disagree with the choice, I just want to shout her out. Um, but one thing we got to do, we got to understand: is it the system we mad at, or is it the people we mad at? Because if it's a system we mad at, then we can't get mad at the people that they give us in the system.
Well,
Because
don't we
this,
vote for those people in some
but
way by
what I
buying the record? Well,
hold
no,
on,
I'm dating myself.
yes, but listen to what I said. We wanted to be a part of this system. We when way long ago when our people who, if I disagree or not, it doesn't matter now. When they wanted to integrate into a system that didn't care about us, this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
This is really what happens. Our people get the worst music. We get the worst part of ourselves because we're not controlling it. If we controlled it, Fletch would not show you the worst part of myself. I would show you the elevated part of all of my people.
Mm-hmm.
I would show you the highest form of my people in every
Okay, so
part.
I'm gonna go even deeper then. If you're saying you will always show your highest self for your person, sometimes people get intimidated by that and say that you come in out with some aggressive behavior, or you think you better than the other person, and you just confidently walking into the space that you own already because you have integrity, you have knowledge, you know different things. It becomes toxic when somebody wants to copy or be some part of what it is that you represent to them, and then now they're comparing and they say, okay, well, if this person is elevated in this space, then how can I break them down? What is it that I can say negative about them that they capture everybody's attention, that I could turn the attention away to something different? That's toxic energy in the social and in the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is. But I'm gonna stay on mine because
Okay.
I'm gonna stay on my time. No, I'm gonna intertwine what you said, but I'm gonna stay on what I said because if we had a culture that was ours, and we let's just say we didn't integrate with this society, when it was that decision, do we integrate or do we stay separate? Right?
Right.
Staying separate allows for us to grow to our full potential, not have somebody else set limits on top of you.
Mm-hmm.
My brothers wouldn't be jealous of me. I wouldn't be jealous of my brothers because we got 50 million lanes
Mm-hmm.
where we all rising to the top. But when they give us one at a time, they do.
But
Then they give us one at a time. They give us one sister. Kamala Harris, one sister. They give us one when there's 50 million sisters who could do this job.
mm-hmm.
One choice. You know what I'm saying? They gave you one brother. Whether I agree with everything Barack said or not, they give you one brother.
Mm-hmm.
So we all 50 million people fighting crabs in the burrow mentality for this
Mm-hmm.
little space. If we controlled it, if we had our own, it wouldn't be like that. It
Right.
wouldn't be. And if you didn't agree with it, you ain't a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So now we in a society where to maneuver up the ladder, I got to knock people off the ladder because that's what I was shown. You know what I'm saying? I was shown white, toxic, white supremacy masculinity in this society. That's what I was shown. And our president is the one who is showing it now. Toxic. You got another guy. You got another guy. Sorry, and I'll let you finish. You got another guy who's the other choice. He the same way. He the same way. We can find articles and everything. We can find interview all kind of women where both of them toxic, and that's the choices we get in this society.
But okay, you went way deep, which is great, because as kings and queens, we need to have this real talk. But then, like, when you put the politics into it, it changes the flavor. But it doesn't, because politics exists in our relationship to ourselves, to our career, to everybody that we come in contact with. But people don't see it equating to the same conversation that you were just saying around the two potential possible leaders in the election and their counterparts, or their ideas or things that they have done. They may not be able to really connect that their relationship that they looking across the living room at someone is very similar to the same that the political arena is. So it's like, I want to make sure that we do that connection as well, as we have in this real talk situation.
Listen, if you and a lot of people, I couldn't. It would be very hard, and I'll put it on me, for me to be in a relationship where the political views aren't similar, because I stand on morality, right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? And a system that keeps giving us choices where it's like two wrongs. It's two wrongs, and our people keep, because of our ancestors, because of our great grandparents, because of our grandmother, our grandfather, they fought and they stood in lines and they got hit with hoses and dogs and all of this kind of stuff to be a part of a system that doesn't care about you. So, like, as a black man, I have different feelings towards the system. I don't dislike the sister that they just gave us. I don't know that sister. I don't dislike her. I don't know her.
Right.
I've read up on some of her ideologies and the positions she's had, and she's had a position where she had to put brothers in jail. Right? So it's like,
but the brothers was committing a crime that fell into her job responsibility. So she was activating what's going to keep the roof over her head versus just going out and targeting. Okay, let me see how many black people I can lock up today.
I'm not faulting her for that. I'm faulting the system. Because the system locked up a whole bunch of men, fathers, uncles over weed and crack and trying to pay bills. And granted, some of the times, it's outrageous what, you know what I'm saying, the brothers is doing. You know what I'm saying? We've had a chance to make all this money in hoods and sell all kind of stuff, but we never bought back into our hood. So I'm pissed at us for that. But I'm mad at a system that put my people in this position.
Okay, so then if we talk about the system and it putting you in a position and you choose to continue to operate in that space, when do you break off of that cycle? When do you make a decision that you don't keep allowing to have this conversation continue in the essence of blaming the system without doing work that's going to change it? It's like you give permission for it to be like a soul tie. Like a soul tie that no matter what soul work that you do, no matter what place that you try to evolve and do better in, you're still angry at either the member of the system or your partner that you've had children with and you're no longer with that person. You allow that person to still have a soul tie into your everyday situation, which, whether you accept it and embrace it or not, is toxic.
Now, for instance, if you're in a relationship, you can split and you have no more ties with that person. Let's say you don't have any kids. Boom. It ended how it ended. You learned what you learned from it. You moved on. You
Mm-hmm.
can't separate yourself from this system. So everything turns back to it. I don't want us to keep, I want us to recognize it,
Mm-hmm.
but then I want us to also find people who can help you break the cycle. Because
Mm-hmm.
I want you to recognize it, because that's the only way you know it's there is if you recognize this system is awful towards you. It's knocking you upside your head.
Mm-hmm.
I know brothers who were amazing athletes, just like me.
Mm-hmm.
Their situations may have been 10 times worse and they couldn't get out the hood
Right.
because of the system. You went to a school who taught you about every white man known to rape, rob, and steal from this country. And then we wonder why we don't love ourselves. We ain't learned nothing about ourselves. Granted, now that the same cycle your parents went through, they didn't know about themselves. So they send you
Mm-hmm.
to the same schools that don't teach you about yourself. I see somebody said when we start focus on personal
Yes.
accountability, I said that. But you got to recognize what the system's doing. Yes, because some of
But
these
what is the
kids.
okay? So wait. Let's pause and peel back because you're gonna end up downloading way more information. We're not gonna get into the personal accountability when we know our conversations could possibly go for a couple weeks as a series and
Mhm.
breaking down toxic relationships in different areas and capacities. So if we go back to personal accountability and we think about how relationships come together under one premise, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, people buying booties and buying body parts that, enhance situations or whatever. And then you come to learn the real them, and it's not the real them anymore. Now they have all of these additional things that didn't exist. So
Right.
like if it's personal accountability, like where do we draw the line, or where do we have that courageous conversation that we can say, okay, what is my lane in ensuring that toxic situations do not exist
We are in America. We are
today,
in we are in an awful place.
right? And we
All
can't go nowhere because of the leader that blocked us off from all the places.
listen, it's awful. We gotta go in history and we gotta say this is the person we elected to lead us.
We
Like
didn't elect
we live in an awful place, but because we lie to ourselves every single day, we
him.
think this place is better than what it is. Because the people in this place are awful, awful. I'm out here amongst the people every single day. If you in a car, if you in the car and you look and you driving and you see how much reckless stuff is going on and people giving each other the finger and screaming out the window, and that's just driving.
Mm-hmm.
See people in the supermarket, mean mugging.
Mm-hmm.
See
Mm-hmm.
people, and if we're gonna go there, I mean, open everybody's cabinets up and in their medicine cabinets. Everybody's sick.
Right.
Everybody's eating sick meat. Everybody's eating sick food. We are not. Listen, you can grab the couple kids that we grab. You could grab the couple people that you grab and try to fix them. But until this system is torn up and tattered and thrown up and get out of here, it's going to be a repetitive cycle. I watch Philly have a gun back buyback program. See these old muskets that were turned in,
I did.
old muskets on the table. These young boys and the people who talk all this, they not going to where these young boys really at.
Mm-hmm.
They not going in these back blocks of
No,
Philly.
they have the address where they want them to come and bring whatever weapons that they're going to bring, that they feel safe, that they're not going to get held accountable. But like, listen, like it's gonna, you gotta
So you know what I use? I say we tickle topics. That's all we do. We tickle
okay.
topics. We only play with them to let people know how
You mean
smart
as
we
a
are.
culture?
Yeah, to let
Okay.
people know how smart we are. like to let people know. But when it's time to get out
But we
there,
microwave solutionists too, because we just go with the flow of what's important at that moment. And once it's done in the microwave, we move on to the next thing because it doesn't have the stats or it's not any buzz going around it. But that doesn't mean that the issue in our community has been corrected. They don't even care. And because we don't care enough to do something different, they move on until the next fireworks happens in the community.
man, listen, nobody wants.
And that's toxic. We live in a toxic, I mean, every zip code has some toxic areas to it.
This is America, wickedly brilliant. Listen, I love a lot of the people that I've met in my life or my journey. I know a lot of them have had issues in the past in their own life, just like I've had. I met a lot of toxic people. I played sports at a very high level. Most locker rooms are toxic, places. It's a place where masculinity collides. So I've seen it at all levels. I've seen it. The only place where I really haven't seen it is when I was teaching, because it was more women teachers than men. But toxic femininity is awful. it's it's awful. Like, as a man, I've seen it. I've dealt with men, but when you're around women, women are very cutthroat. Women are very conniving. Women are very
and men are not.
no, yeah, they're listen. That was the first half of the show. That was the first half. Listen, and this is what I want the sisters to understand is I always think first, Kamala Harris, she's not immune or exempt from critique. Understand this, Black women, especially Black people. When Barack got in the office, he was beat up, he was tore down. That's all right. You stand tall. You take it. You take it because it comes with the position. You take it because you chose that position. You wanted to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I understand a lot of our sisters went to HBCUs and they protect they stay on. No, what comes with a
Don't come
level
for the
of
HBCUs.
I ain't coming for them, but you know me, I ain't listen.
Just because you got the R.
What comes with a level of her job is a level of responsibility. And the HBCU people, and listen, we can all have a conversation because we're gonna go history, and then they're not gonna like it.
They're
So
not.
we're gonna keep it at that.
I have learned. We're gonna keep it at that this week
We're
because
gonna keep it at that. Because I went to a white university, so y'all I could take it. Y'all,
yeah, Jaja and I went to the 1854, so you know.
Yeah. And I love that our people got educations. I could care less, you know what I'm saying? Because I've learned more outside of college than what they was gonna give me at some white university,
right?
Or somebody gonna give you that you don't know has ulterior motives that works at a HBCU.
But you know, if we just tickle the topic,
right?
A HBCU versus a PWI definitely has, you know, that wickedly brilliant that is trademarked. So for those of you who are wishing,
a predominantly white institution, is that?
Yeah, that's a PWI. That's what we call y'all.
Oh, is that what HBCU calls us?
That's what you are.
PWI, yes. There was a lot of white people at Rutgers.
But it's the systems. I wanted to also share the wickedly brilliant is already in trademark status. So, you know, can't nobody grab that and take it. It's already in the process.
Shout out Charlotte Knights for life. I didn't know I was a PWI though.
You're a PWI. You're a PWI. But it's still a part of the alleged. And again, we tickling the topic because we're going to have to come back to it another time. Tickling that idea is a part of a system. And it's a part of the system that we exist in, that we talk about, where this toxic energy comes into play every single day. So it's like we're in a game of chess every day. And in us in the game of chess, like, let's tickle it. Let's do our moves the way we need to do our moves and have real talk.
Now listen, yeah, we gonna break it down. Listen, I
And
mean,
y'all not gonna like us afterwards. I
I
mean, y'all
like.
will, but you're gonna be
Listen,
surprised at the outcome of
shout
what
out to
people.
Rutgers though. We did have some. We had some.
I
We
see some
had some
scarlet.
real. Yeah, we had some real big time professors there. You know what I'm saying? But PWI, that's a new one for me. That's hilarious. I would have went around Rutgers white campus screaming that if I'd have known that back then. Like PWI, that's hilarious. But like I
You
said,
probably would have made up another acronym for what the P and the
yeah,
W and
yeah,
the I
yeah, yeah.
stand for.
Courtney, no, it'd have been that stuff your face, calling it something else. But listen, man, I'm just happy that we able to sit here and two educated people who wanted to further the knowledge, wanted to further the education in a
That's the
system,
purpose.
yeah, in a system that is not set up for us. It's against us in every way. And shout out to all the people who further education. I don't care if you went to divide to some community college. If you went to try to learn more than what they downloaded into you at some traditional high school, man, shout out to you, man, because we
And
got to
every
continue to
skill and
grow.
every service is needed for the sustainability of our country, which, this virus that they got going around, if it's real or not real, we have shown evidence or seen the strength of the positions that we took for granted, and I think that that's one of the wins out of the situation.
Yeah, this is like everybody has. I mean, 50 million of these. I mean, I got them in every pocket. I mean, listen,
Like you
man.
just whipped it out.
Yeah, the 2020, and I was working with I was working with the young people out in Philly this weekend and got to stop the violence mask and
I
but
can't see
that's all right. Stop the violence mask.
with
You know,
ceasefire.
but it's a cycle we on, man, and it's sad, man, because I'm out there and me and one of the brother was talking. There's not enough men out here, man. We got these ladies out here fighting the war with no real soldiers, man. With no real soldiers out here, and one of the comments said, "When do we take personal responsibility?" I mean, it has to be now, man, because there's too many of us locked up. There's too many of us dead, and every day is going on. And then when we need our warriors for real warrior stuff, for real movement, for real push, for real backing plans that's going on, they're not here. They have no clue, you know what I'm saying, what's going on, how to solve the issue. And women can't do it themselves. And I see a lot of women out here, man. So I tell the women, man, grab some of the uncles, man. Grab some of your nephews. And we can't go at 10 o'clock to some of these hoods. We got to meet them where they at
Hmm.
when it's the worst time to be out there. You can't be scared. You've been given a light to take on this fight. So we can't be scared. I'm in a whole nother city that I wasn't born in. The restaurant's in a whole nother city than I was born in. And I'm not scared to go try to grab young people and help them. If you scared to go grab a you a coward. And that's to all the men. You could terrorize our neighborhood, but you won't lead the young boys to something better. You a coward. And you could play this for the toughest person, because I got homies back at home that is the toughest dudes in the world. And now they out in the street helping young people. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't doing that, you's a coward. All that tough talk, I'm getting money, I'm getting bands, and your kids is on the same repetitive cycle. Your nephews is on the same repetitive cycle. I don't want to preach, you know what I'm saying? Because I felt a little preachy, but we do need more soldiers, man. And as the
And
ladies go, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your daddies, get them up off the couch, off their ass, and get them out here in these streets.
okay, so then one of the things that was interesting is that in the same community that there was, I think, 5 shootings last night in North Philly. Um, I think it was from a block party, all adults. That was Saturday night. On Friday night, the teenagers had a cookout. It was about 100 of them at this particular rec center, and it was no shootings. It was no violence. It was no looting. It was no deaths that came out of it. Was it too many of them? Absolutely. Were they wearing masks? Absolutely not. Were they practicing social distancing? Absolutely not. We were told it was 60 people, 60 boys on one side, 30 girls on the other, and they were just doing what teenagers actually do. But because people label teenagers or young adults, they're the ones that's causing all of the crime. They ain't had no deaths.
Yeah, listen. Shout out to them young people. Shout out to a lot of these young people, and I mean a lot of them. See the generation before them.
Mm-hmm.
They, they they can't look at us as leaders.
Mm-hmm.
I was a teacher for 12 years in Philadelphia, and young people hold you on what you say and what you do. You know what I'm saying? They hold you on that. And shout out to them young people who was out there because they'll look at the old heads like old head's a nut.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Now
still
some
out
old
here.
heads came out there to help out, but then also they allegedly became intimidated or could have been intimidated by the Blood Brothers in Blue, who came out in excessive force because they heard the teens were out there. But they were in the community of Broad and Lehigh, as well as the rec center at 22nd and Lehigh. And again, no violence, no issues whatsoever have been reported that someone's life has been lost. Now, whether a life was created, we don't know about that. However,
Oh
they
yeah,
was being human and they
yeah.
was being responsible.
Some young boy was doing it. Some young boy
I
was
mean,
doing it.
listen,
Yeah, of
it was
course,
covered up by the people.
that's that. But they won't report nothing like that good for our young people. They won't show that. They'll show chaos. It's a system. It's not our system. Until we
Mm-hmm.
get the black media, and maybe I need to go ahead and find some young brothers out here who willing to become the new black media, who report only good black news because
Right.
it's happening every day. But our
Right.
system's not going to show it. Our system ain't going to show it, and
And
it's on me. It's on me, and I'm saying that to help other brothers say it's on them.
mm,
Whatever you're good at, use it to teach some young people.
so then I want to go back to a comment that said we definitely get them off the video games. So I got a double-edged sword with that. So like, yes, if they're consuming their entire life around the video games as the adults that's responsible and advocating for them, help them recognize different times that they should be engaged with the games. But then the other part is, why can't we flip that skill of the gaming and the competition that they're having on that game and bring additional income to them as a young entrepreneur? Like, flip that spirit. If they're so engaged in the video game that they so focused, flip that into income, which is so possible these days. They can become a video gamer. They just need the tools, they need the support and the education to become that young entrepreneur that will build their own personal bank account, not the parents' bank account, but then they can go buy that $150 sneakers that's in the store with what they earn from the video gaming and just, put structure around it. But then it's like them having business hours. They can learn within what works for them. Now, again, that might be our seasoned thinking when video games was brought into life with Atari and so forth like that. However, that wasn't, we didn't get video gaming, we didn't get creating the codes, we didn't have resources out there where we were able to turn what is of interest to us. If we enjoy baking, then listen, become a baker. Because when you get to college, it's all types of entrepreneurship going on. And when you get into that rough point, if you're not in college and say you need to pay a bill or get a vacation, whatever, you become real creative at that point. Instead of it being on the dark side of life, let it be on the positive side. We often go to the dark side, which becomes toxic. And it's like, okay, let's look at how we can think outside the box, use what it is that they know, use where they're comfortable, again, meeting them where they are. If video gaming is what they like, let them know all the opportunity that comes with that. And then therefore they will take off with it, because what do they do all day? They YouTube and research much more than, I mean, we had to go to the library and actually open a book and turn the pages. However, the narrative that they do, ask them what it is that they're interested in, and then find somebody within your network that's going to help them get to that entrepreneurial spirit.
Like, so some of the comments are web designers, game designers,
Mm-hmm.
programmers, etc.
Coding. Mm-hmm.
Coding. But part of the problem is parents will set their own limits on their own kids because the video game came with a stigma. Oh, you only just playing a game.
Right.
Shout out to my little sis because she said she's gonna start on that good black news. Let's make it happen.
Uh-huh.
But I used to watch video games at the end of them when I was younger, and it would be just hundreds of Asian people. I mean, hundreds. And I'm like, how only the Asian people get money off of this?
They know
And
what we
we can't set limits on our own people, man.
do.
And one of the things that I had written down earlier in the week is don't make your kids workers, make them earners,
Mm-hmm.
make them use God given gifts,
Mm-hmm.
creators' gifts that you've been given to make money in a capitalist, materialistic world. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, somebody be a baker, they learn how to bake at 7. By the time you in college, you better be selling pies out your dorm room,
Listen.
cookies. Every kid in college was getting high. You better have a whole bunch of cookies you selling at college. And I mean, I'm saying that to be funny, but whatever it is, our young sisters can braid. You better be braiding hair. I
Right.
did so many lineups in college. You better learn how to cut hair. There's
I used
all
to type papers. I mean, the guys would come at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and talk about the paper was due at 8 a.m. But that's okay, just up the price. I used to type their papers, but then also at a certain point, I didn't believe in the cafeteria food because that just wasn't for me. And my grandmother had taught me how to cook. So whereas they was having whatever goulash that was prepared, I was having steak. I was having meatloaf, spaghetti, like all types of things that was going to spread and make it work. And yes, I am a proud graduate of undergrad and of a HBCU, but I made it work. And once my dorm person said, "Okay, well, you got all these illegal appliances," I said, "Do you want a platter? You want a platter every time I cook?" I had permission to do what I needed to do because
see what
that
I'm
was the
saying?
way I was able
You
to
gotta.
survive.
That's why black people can't do it. You got a roommate hating on you. See,
I
that's
ain't have a roommate. That was the RA. So she was ready
it.
to either
Don't
write me up.
matter. It
I ain't
don't
had no
even
roommate. So I was
matter.
leaving
It's
roomies.
the RA. That's terrible. We always in the way of our own people
She said I
instead of
had too
seeing
many appliances. I
and
mean,
instead of
listen.
seeing it for what it's worth, man. There's a young person here with a skill to say, like BJ just said, grind. We take the
Mhm.
mentality. What are we good at?
Mhm.
And then put it in motion. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I was supposed to do this, we supposed to do this chocolate crowns years ago
Years ago,
because
8 years ago.
I could talk a little bit.
Mhm.
So and I was in my own way, and then I finally got out my own way. But that's how we got to do. We got to stop making our young people go to school to work for somebody else.
Mhm.
No, let's think big. If the kid loves basketball but he can't play, why can't he work to be the general manager at a basketball team?
Mhm.
Work through scouting. You know what I'm saying? Different ways to elevate this thing. Like everybody's not LeBron James.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if we do have a LeBron, what he does is he wasn't selfish or toxic to his friends. He empowered his friends. You know what
Mhm.
y'all all gonna do? Y'all all gonna go to school.
Mhm.
So y'all all become something. Now his friend is Clutch Sports, which is the biggest sports agency in sports.
Mhm.
That's his friend. That's one group, 5 people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just imagine, like I had big plans, and shout out to my little sister because I'm gonna still get that gas station down going down in Braddock. Man, I had big
Mhm.
plans when I had my shot at the league, but it wasn't
Mhm.
just about me. It was about the whole neighborhood.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Now they done revamped the Hawkins Village. I wanted to do that a long time ago. That and the Palisades, but we set limits on ourselves. We put limits on our children. And you're right, Nay. Stop
And,
limiting your children's dreams because your dreams never came to fruition. That's
and one of
so
the
true.
things I hear, and one of the things like tagging on to that comment is that a child will say, I want to speak French, or I want to like speak like not Spanish or English because that's so accessible, at least people believe, but like they want to speak French or Japanese. I'll pick those two. And a parent will say, well, no, you don't want to do that because where are you going to use it at? You already crushing their opportunity. Where they're going to use it at, they could be a translator here in the United States. They can be a translator on video newscasting between the two countries. They can be traveling around the country, and like that is a skill that if you start so soon, then by the time they get high school or by all of the scholarships that will come because now they have a dual dialect. is so important. But because you can't see, your limited foresight doesn't allow you to see beyond them needing to speak English and write a full sentence, you'll degrade and be toxic in the sense of, oh, well, you can't even write a full sentence. How you gonna be speaking French? Listen, I'm gonna learn, because if I need to translate the words, then I'm gonna have to get my English together as my core language. Rosetta Stone is the truth.
Was the truth. Was the truth. Listen, however you get it, baby.
Right?
But
Right?
don't be stuck in the same position as before. However you learn it, man. Real tough, and then you can teach it to somebody else.
Right.
Man, that's the dope thing about it, man. I love talking to young people or people who don't know, man.
Right. And if you functioning in fear, then you got to let that fear go. Like, you fearing for yourself as well as for your child's growth. Like, you setting yourself up, you setting them up, that they're not going to be able to see the bigger picture and always be willing to think outside the box. They're going to see what's outside the box and be afraid of it.
Go to the edge and jump. I promise you, you can fly.
Right.
Cousin Fletch said you could fly. I promise you, take a leap. All my people in the bird, Lil Rankin, Braddock, you want to go? Take a leap, man. Go, man. The hood ain't, it's going to be there. I promise. I,
Mm-hmm.
wherever, if you in Newark, if you in Philly and you hearing it, man, jump, man. Don't be scared. Don't let nobody, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
nobody, not your mother, not your father, not your grandparents, your brother, sister, hating friends,
Mm-hmm.
nobody put no limits on you, man. Because whatever it is you want to do, and I remember telling my brother, he was nervous when he was leaving college. What you gonna do? Look at the map and go, bruh. And he ain't stopped since. And
Right.
I on everything I love, he has not stopped since. And I
Mm-hmm.
love it. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. You don't set no limits, man. Go. Because whatever you scared of, it's gonna be there. I promise you, it's gonna still be there.
And you don't want to teach fear through your own fears to your child, because again, we've said on this episode 7, thankfully you guys have continued to join us and build our community to have this space for the real conversations. But we've been saying, we can't have our fears be their fears. If we need to jump, or we don't feel that we could jump, equip them to be able to jump, so that the next generation can be okay. And it's not like you'll say, well, I wish I could have, or I should have, or I should have said something differently. You begin to look at what strengths do they have, and how is it that I can push and move them forward. And like, that's everything. Like, that's just everything. Like, when you think about building relationships, these are the relationships and the conversations that should not be toxic. If they are toxic, it's because you are fearing something that you were unable to accomplish.
No doubt. Listen, and before we wrap it up, there's one more name. Uh, there's two things I want to go over. So to piggyback off of what you just said about fear and everything,
Mm-hmm.
David Googins, please, David Googins, Goggins, David Googins, YouTubing. He's a motivational speaker, but he's been through something nobody else in the world has gone through, and he put himself through it. So I
Mm-hmm.
just want everybody to listen to it and check it out, man. David Googins, um, a very motivational speaker, and also, lastly, like I always say, there's going to be somebody's business that we go ahead and shout out and give a little bit of give a little love to. So I'm just going to bring this back up so I can do it. But this young lady's name, how I say it again, Solora.
It's Solara.
Laura
She
Natural.
goes by So.
So shout out So let me get it a little closer. Solora Design Naturals Design Philly. Listen, you need your locks done. You need anything natural. Go ahead, fellas. I go there because she's quick. I'm in and out in 1 hour and 5 minutes because I struggle up under the heater. So you know what I'm saying. Shout out to So and the business. Go check it out. Natural Design Philly, right off of Ogons Avenue. Um,
And
but
I'll put
yeah,
it in the comments, so that if anybody didn't see the card, I'll make sure that her contact information is on
and
the comments.
starting next week, we'll have T-shirts up. We'll probably both be kind of sporting our own brand, so they'll be up. So they'll be up for sale. We
Mm.
haven't decided on the final price. Not trying to bang you on the head, but we trying to, get into a real good studio and all that kind of stuff, so we can have people come in
Mhm.
and get some vitamin C and some lemons up in you, and you can sit with us, and we know you COVID free. But yeah, listen, episode 7. I want to shout everybody out. I appreciate it. Once again, toxic. It started off as toxic masculinity, but we kind of evolved it in just the toxic people and beings, and don't let
Mhm.
them put their fears on you, man. So shout out to everybody, Swanee, all my folks back in the Berg who keep checking out, or people down in Maryland who checking out. So we definitely appreciate you and thank you. And from Cousin Fletch, I love y'all.
Thank you so much for tuning in, my HBCU folks. And definitely, it looks like we're going to have a part 2 to building this community and talking about toxic energy and toxic relationships. So we hope that you'll join us next Sunday at 8 p.m.
Oh
Eastern
yeah,
Standard Time.
one more little shameless plug. Might see on the bottom, Infinite Mind and Body. My my group is back up and running, working with young people. I was out in Philly this weekend, so I'm back up and running. So get at me, man. One of these social media sites, man. Fletcher Del Rico 79 at Gmail. Courtney, appreciate you, sweetie, man. Queen, I appreciate you. Keep checking us out, man. And Courtney, you somebody I would love to have on one of these Zooms too, man. She dope. She one of the ones who was a year or two older than me at Rutgers, but took me up under her wing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
real love, man. She was dope, man. Shout out to her. Couple other people. I'll get to them, man. But Courtney, man, we're going to be in touch with you soon. So yeah, once again, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all.
Definitely. Take care. You be safe in the meanwhile. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace.